Today on the TCO Method, we are going to break down that expensive maintenance shop in every apartment complex that is just costing money like crazy because I saw something on LinkedIn somebody posted, and the solution I read wasn't a solution at all. More after this. Here's our quick disclaimer. The information, views, and opinions expressed in this podcast are for informational and entertainment purposes only and should not be considered business, legal, or investment advice. Real estate is hyperlocal, and no two situations are identical. You should always consult with licensed, qualified, and insured professionals about your specific situation before taking any action. The appearance of a guest on the program does not constitute an endorsement of them or their business, and any views which may be expressed do not represent the opinions or recommendations of the host or the ARM companies. References made to any person, product, service, investment, or entity do not constitute an endorsement, recommendation, or warning for or against. The TCO Method is a registered trademark of ARM Procurement Advisors, LLC, and this show is produced as an educational advertisement for the ARM companies. For further information, please visit tcomethod.com. Welcome to the TCO Method, the only show focused on helping you massively increase your net operating income. I'm Andy McQuade. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the show. It is the first episode I have recorded in 2026. And while I would like to apologize, I'm not really sorry. However, there will be many more episodes to go as we kick off this wonderful week in commercial real estate. What makes it so wonderful? I have no idea. People are making money. People are losing money. Syndications are falling apart. Syndications are being formed. Just another day in a cycle, right? So I wanted to talk about a few different things since it's been so long since I recorded an episode. My bad. Sorry. I did not go to Best Ever this year. It was the same week as my son's winter break. It is what it is. So, that being said, let's get right into it. This week that this episode's being recorded marks the 7th anniversary of filing the LLC for ARM Procurement Advisors, which isn't that meaningful because I was still working a W-2 for another 6 weeks or so until like May, so I didn't even really have a customer signed at that point. But I knew I was going to. So I'm not going to get into the story. You can listen to the story some other time in past episodes. I don't even know which episode it was in, but the story's been told. You don't need to hear it again. What I want to talk about, other than the 7-year thing, which is cool, right? I redid the math. We did, so far since 2019, we have saved $8.8 million for our clients in capex expenses. So prevented them from overpaying, prevented them from over-ordering, prevented them from having to pay for stuff outright because we got grants and utility money and other things. That's how that cost savings works, right? Rebates, discounts, terms, negotiated stuff. That's primarily what ARM Procurement Advisors was known for until I created the TCO Method, and then everything changed. $7.2 million in recurring annual net operating income has been created, which that translates to $120 million, a little over $120 million in asset value for commercial multifamily, right? To show what I do, what I've always done, I've worked primarily with large commercial multifamily operators, and part of what I used to do on the material supply side was handle all of the products and issues and terms and order cycles and pricing and margins, all that BS that goes into it, all the logistics, ordering stuff from China 16 weeks in advance, blah, 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 stuff no one really cares about other than, hey, it showed up, I like it. Or, hey, I saved money, I like it. And it created all these patterns that I saw. And because Home Depot was really, really cheap, they fired all their sales reps for all the vendors that go into for the products that are in their stores. What do I mean by they fired their sales reps? They literally called all of the vendors that put product on the shelves and said, don't send your people into my stores. We don't want to pay for it. Give us product cheaper. So me, doing what I was doing for account sales, across the country on a plane every 3 weeks, going to the Carolinas, going to Texas, going to Michigan, going wherever my clients need me to go, I went. Part of what I did was help them figure out what products to use, where to use them, and all that. But I also was responsible, because there were no vendors anymore, every time something happened, every single time. It was on me to figure out if it was a bad product from the manufacturer, if it was a bad install from whoever they used to put the product in, if it was the wrong product for the job. There's all these things. And that's how the TCO method really started. I didn't know it at the time, right? You're talking about 2013, 2014, 2015, when Home Depot fired all those vendors. Everything at the Home Depot became my problem. So I had to learn what worked and what didn't, and then I had to choose products and recommend products and sell products to my clients, my customers, that minimized my headaches. That was how I was able to scale to 20-something million a year in product sales to like less than 40 people. 40 businesses, I should say, not 40 people. There's a lot more people involved, unfortunately. But that information is what let me create the TCO method. So anyway, other things, I launched a newsletter around October of last year as well. It's shockingly called the TCO method, and shockingly, it goes over some of the same stuff we talk about here, but it goes a little bit more in depth. There's like graphs and comparison charts and math that goes into things. It's been on the top 100 for Substack twice now for paid newsletters. It is paid. I do a couple free newsletters a year, but the vast majority of them that I publish have a little snippet at the top, and then the rest is paid. It's $50 a year. I don't know. If you can't afford $50 a year, you probably can't afford me. So you probably can't afford real estate either. Just saying. So check it out. It's tcomethod.substack.com. And yeah. What else? Oh, the actual topic for today. I want to talk a little bit or a lot about multifamily maintenance shops. And this can go in for like scattered site single family if you have a maintenance shop, warehouse. I used to set up warehouses for remodelers, for plumbing companies, for HVAC companies, and for multifamily when I was at Home Depot. So the actual setup of the shop and how those programs work is not foreign to me by any means. And I got to see the mess that other vendors would create, right? Like Grainger had their own system, HD Supply had a system, Home Depot had a system, Wilmar had a system, like all these different companies have their own way of managing those warehouses. Well, what do I mean by that? There's a misalignment of interests between the companies that sell the product and stock the shelves and place the orders and do the other thing, and the owners of the property, the operators of the property. Because clearly the operators of the property want the right product that matches what they already have, lasts, right? It's got to be durable. And it has to not just come in at the right price, but have the right timing. And they don't want to tie up a lot of dollars that should be going to cash flow to maintain inventory in the shop. Because every dollar you spend on product is a dollar that you can't use somewhere else for an investment, for bonuses, for your people, for whatever. Returning capital to investors. Like there's a lot of things that cash flow can be used for. And yeah, when you spend money in your shop, sure, it's part of your above the line numbers. But what does it cost you to hold the inventory there? Like, you walk these shops, and to the point of a LinkedIn post I saw today, actually, that inspired this episode. There's a problem with pretty much every shop in existence in multifamily, because there will be parts for products that aren't even on the property anymore, sitting there collecting dust. There will be pieces and parts of old things. There will be mismatched product. There's no standards, no rhyme or reason. There could be 600 of one widget and 0 of another, but you use the other one all the time, and the 600 of widget number 1 you never use. It just sits there and collects dust because you stopped using it 10 years ago. It was probably done by a prior owner. You don't need it there, but it's product that's worth money that's taking up space on the shelf. Even if it didn't come out of your P&L, didn't come out of your bottom line, it still came out of that property's bottom line at some point. Well, what if you just sell it on Facebook Marketplace? What if you take it down to a Habitat for Humanity restore and drop it off as a donation and use it as a write-off? And there's a lot of things you can do with the old crap that's collecting dust on those shelves that isn't getting used anymore. But that's not really what I want to talk about, right? There's an alignment of interests problem that I want to focus on between the companies that are selling the product and the owners of the property. It is always going to be that salesperson's job to sell more product and fill more bays with their product than the other guy's product, even if their product isn't as good as the other guy's product. That used to get me in a lot of trouble at Home Depot because there were certain things I just would not sell because I didn't want to have to deal with the headaches and the fallout. Back to the Home Depot firing all the sales reps. I didn't want to have to be the guy dealing with warped doors, floors that are falling apart. Like, there was a lot of things I did not sell at Home Depot because it just didn't work for multifamily very well. That was a fight I fought multiple times and I just gave up. It wasn't worth my time. It was not. If you can stand a paintbrush up in your paint and walk away for 10 minutes and it's still standing up when you come back, your contractor doing your apartment is not going to want to use that paint. Sorry. But back to the shop itself. Most of the shops I've walked in multifamily, I'll actually go out on a limb and say every shop I've walked in multifamily has stuff on their shelves. Replacement parts and gizmos and gadgets for stuff that apartment complex hasn't used in 5 to 10 years. Whether it's appliance parts, whether it's HVAC parts, whether it's plumbing parts, whether it's whatever. They probably don't need them. And that's fine. It's not that hard to clean out. But the important part is to get the alignment of interests down so that the owner of the property, the property manager, they have the shop set in a way that benefits the performance of the property. So a lot of that comes down to setting standards. Perfect example, that property that went full cycle had the disaster shop, right? With 20-year-old paint and old HVAC parts and old thermostats and smoke detectors that were already expired, still sitting on the shelf, like just all kinds of dumb stuff. And part of what we changed when we were doing this complex rehab is we changed all the electrical sockets and all the switches and all the wall plates from standard or old school 80s, 70s wall plates to Decora. Well, why? Well, it's simple. You've got 2 gang, 3 gang, 4 gang, some cases 5 gang light switches on the walls, right? And you've got to know how many switches to how many electrical sockets or how many switches to how many GFIs or how many switches to whatever. They literally, I think, had like 14 different wall plates just for switches, not including, double electric socket plates, coax cable plates, phone connection plates, like all that stuff, like just light switches. It was like 14. We changed it to 5. After the rehab was done, it was like 2 5 gang, 2 4 gang, 2 3 gang, or 3 or 4 3 gang, maybe 5 or 10 2 gang, and like 2 boxes, 20 single gang covers in the shop. Number one, they don't get cracked that much if you use the nylon ones. Number two, they're going to be the jumbos, so you got to take what you can get. Number three, you're taking all the variation out, and it's just rectangular holes. So just in wall plate coverage, we cut the overhead, even though they're more expensive in some cases, not all. We cut the overhead in that shop by like $18,000 just by streamlining stuff and making it universal. Even if that property still had old fixtures. There was probably, when we finished the turns, there was probably 6 units that had occupants that wouldn't move and wouldn't let us in to swap stuff. So those 6 units had old toilets, old faucets, old light fixtures, right? All that stuff. When something would break, we wouldn't put the matching fixture in and replace it with what was already there, partially because the stuff's just not available anymore. It just doesn't exist. That's how old some of these light fixtures were. Remember those old brass light fixtures with the square semi-flush or flush mount glass plates from the 70s? Yeah, those were there. You put the new stuff in that's in all the other turned units, and it's one less piece you have to change when that tenant finally does move out. There were like 4 or 5 tenants that had been there for over 20 years across like 5 different owners. It was crazy. I never would have imagined, but it happened. So obviously it is a reality. And those are the tenants you want. They stay forever. They cost you nothing. Those units haven't been updated in 20 years, some of them. Literal shag carpet on the floor still. Oh, gross. Very clean dude. All right, I walked every unit in that entire complex, occupied or not. Holy crap. Anyway, the standards for what you put in your apartments should be reflected in the shop. You don't want 5 different light fixtures when you use 2 or 3 across the entire complex. You don't want 4 different bathroom faucets. You don't want 3 different toilets. You don't want, 17 different toilet seats. You don't want 18 different types of paint that are 20 years old. Like, you use one thing because you can buy in bulk. Buying in bulk saves you money. It's not a hard concept. The post I had mentioned basically said, well, there's these automated systems you can install. Well, number one, they cost money. Number two, they're not really built for multifamily, and there's a lot of shops. Okay. Number three, becomes highly transactional ordering, meaning that this computer system sees that there's a hole on the shelf and it auto orders it. Well, I got news for you. It costs you a lot more to order one faucet today and another faucet tomorrow and a widget on Wednesday and a whatever on Thursday than it does to just collect them all into a decent size order and place it and have it all delivered at once. Because number one, and this is what people miss about operations, scale affects everything you do. In multifamily, everybody's like, oh, invest in multifamily. It's great. You get the scale. So instead of, making a couple $100 a door for 5 or 10 doors, you're buying 300 doors at once and you're going to make that money and you're going to cash flow. Not necessarily true. The deal has to work. But number two, all your problems scale too. All your inefficiencies scale. So you're going to have this automatic ordering system doing this, whatever it is, every time you put a product into an apartment for a maintenance call, which sounds great because there's no human involved until that package arrives. You've got material arriving to your shop or to your leasing office. If it's a multifamily community, it's big enough to have on-site offices. And you got to pay somebody to take that and put it on a shelf. So what do you think costs you less? Having deliveries arrive every day, or a few times a week, or once a week, or once every 2 weeks? What do you think costs you more? Your labor to deal with the stupid, right? You created the system to reduce your labor output and your overhead of having people manage this shop. So what happens when you just move it from an admin role to a computer role and then you add more work? Are you making any money from it? Or are you losing your ass? Because in most cases, you're losing your ass. That's why you can't use Home Depot or Lowe's right now to get deliveries of product if it's more than one or two things. I had a client doing a rehab, and they came to me and they actually said, Andy, we should have listened to you. We're sorry. Don't apologize to me. It wasn't me. I don't care. You can do what I tell you to do or not. It makes no difference to me. They ordered like $2,300 worth of stuff from Home Depot. They got 9 trucks over 2 days, before hours, after hours, on a Saturday. Whoops. They got Uber drivers. They had employees dropping stuff off. They had a box truck show up. They had a flatbed show up with a partial pallet of junk. They're not built for speed. You go to Home Depot and you order $2,500 worth of stuff, you might save, let's say 30%. What's 30% on $2,500? Let's call it, $400 or $500 that you save. Cool. Now, assuming the product is going to hold up, assuming it's the right fit, it's not going to fall apart, doesn't have issues, right? My customers didn't have that issue. I told them what they needed to order, what brands to use, what product specs to look for, because that's what I do. But then they had to meet 9 different trucks and have the stuff there before hours, after hours, carried inside and put away. What is their labor worth? Like, assuming as an owner of multifamily real estate, you want to be paying yourself at least $100,000 a year, all in. I know many who make less than that, and I know many who make more. But let's just say your maintenance guy, if you have one, needs to meet that truck before hours, after hours, 9 times. 9 times. Meet the truck, check the stuff, sign the paperwork, carry it in, put it away. 5 steps. Do you think any of those deliveries were less than an hour, all in labor charge, if you were to break it down? Even if you're only paying the guy $30 an hour, you're talking about $50 an hour between all the overhead, right? Total comp, insurance, 401k, workers' comp, blah, 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 blah. All the stuff that goes into making that guy function, right? We've talked about it before on the show. $50 an hour, 9 hours. Even if it was less than 9 hours, 9 trips where their downtime between being where they should be doing what they should be doing and getting back to that after the delivery's done. The opportunity cost alone is 8 hours, because if you had done it right and gotten 1 delivery, you'd be down 1 hour. You got 9 deliveries, so even though each one might have been 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, you still got the startup and the slowdown time, right? Startup and shutdown. Travel time, whatever it may be. So it's probably all in 9 hours. Between opportunity cost and real cost. 9 hours at $50 an hour is $450. Not including the stuff they could have been completing to generate revenue, cut costs, or operate the business the way it should be operated. So all in, you could be thousands of dollars in the hole from just one delivery. Come on, guys. We got to do better. This business is very people heavy. There's a lot of hands in the cookie jar. There's a lot of things that can go wrong. You need to minimize interactions where things can go sideways. That's why standards matter. That's why processes matter. That's why systems matter. You need to get better. We all do, not just this one client. I see it all the time. Perfect example is all those shops with all those dusty parts, with 6 inches of dust, mouse poop, the whole 9 yards all over them, for stuff that doesn't even exist on the property anymore. Donate it, sell it on Facebook Marketplace, put it on Craigslist if Craigslist is still a thing. I don't even know. Is it? eBay? Wouldn't spend a lot of time on it. Like if it has to go on eBay and it's going to be a time sink, take it to a local consignment place that does eBay for you. Like they'll tell you if they can get anything for the stuff or not. You'll give up a good chunk of it, but it's out of your hair and it's cash for you and for the property, and you don't have to worry about it anymore. But what else? How do we take control of our warehouses and shops and start to make it into a profit center? Because that's what it should be. The whole point of having that maintenance shop is to keep your guys out of the truck. Now, for those companies where the shop is the truck, slightly different situation, right? But for multifamily, in a basement shop or a garage shop where you've got X number of products, could be 10, could be 100, could be 500. If it's 500, you probably have a problem. You don't need that many. But the whole point of the shop, the whole reason why it's a profit center, is to keep your guy from getting in the truck and going to Home Depot and shopping, going to Lowe's and shopping, going to Menards and shopping, going to whatever his or her favorite store is. Because it's not just windshield time. What if they get in a car accident with the company truck or their own personal vehicle on company time? What's the insurance implications of that? Not a lot of people think about it. It's a very real cost in the business, especially in larger metros where traffic is nuts, quite frankly. So what's the solution? How do you manage it? First thing is, if you've done a complex rehab, hopefully 90+% of the units are updated. Purge the old stuff. Anything that's not being used anymore, get rid of it. Garbage it, recycle it, sell it, donate it. One of those 4 things. Second thing, standards. The stuff that's in your unit should be reflected in your shop. For those of you who made the mistake of hiring an importer or importing stuff yourselves for products, for projects, you hired a third-party construction management firm who specializes in multifamily rehabs. They ordered stuff from China on containers specifically to meet the demands of whatever the project is, the finished standards for whatever the project is. How do you replace those things? They're not stores. They're not distributors. They're ordering stuff for jobs. They're not keeping their stuff standardized. Their stuff isn't readily available off project. So what? You're going to go to Home Depot and Lowe's. You're going to go to HD Supply. You're going to order stuff that doesn't match? Yeah, you are. This is why I say that the TCO method is a strategy, because you have to start at the beginning and you have to execute, which means that when you do your complex rehab, you think ahead 2 steps and go, how am I going to get this stuff when it breaks and have it match? how am I going to replace that down the line? Can I replace that down the line? Or am I stuck with a different product and now I'm going to have, 328 units with 27 different light fixtures? What do? You're sold a bill of goods. Now what? You fix it going forward. So when you're in your shop, you get the closest thing you can that's available. And you just deal with the fact it's not going to be a perfect match. You should be looking for resilience, right? If it's a lock set, is it a lifetime mechanical warranty? If it's a light fixture, does it use bulbs? If it's a faucet, is it either so cheap that it's cheaper to replace it as opposed to taking the time to take a faucet apart and change the valves? Or is it a nicer faucet where you want a ceramic ball valve, right? You want to look at, can I simplify what I have? Can I go from 14 different wall plates and 3 or 4 different receptacle plates to like one universal product that checks all those boxes? And then I don't have to worry about the overhead side. For plumbing parts, do I need 47 different plumbing fittings that are all solder on or threaded when the entire property is now using PEX? Probably not. Problem is that the people who make a lot of these decisions, right? Asset managers, property managers, and sometimes salespeople for some of these companies, right? We talked about the misalignment of interests. How do they know what's in the walls if they didn't sell the job? How do they know what's common? They listen to your maintenance guy. They listen to your maintenance manager. How do they know? They didn't do the construction. Like, hopefully they know, but do they? Are they accurate? Is it the right thing? Clear standards at the very beginning. You take possession, you start value-add rehab, you establish the standards then. You don't use random third-party Chinese junk from a container that your contractor ordered. You use stuff that comes from a distributor or a retailer or a specialty dealer where you can still get those units later. Takes more planning, takes time, takes money. Is it going to be as cheap? Probably, actually. If you do it right, it can be just as cheap as those container guys. They make some serious markup when they bring in containers. What else? What else can you do to streamline? Create a spreadsheet. Keep track. When you're placing orders, whatever system you use to place orders, the problem with onesie-twosie ordering is not only are you touching it more often, your vendor is touching it more often, so your price goes up. You buy more in bulk, get less deliveries, your vendor's touching it less, they charge you less money. If you negotiate it correctly. No guarantees. What else? When your shop is up and running and everything is smooth, do you want 600 of each widget on the shelf? No. The question you ask is, how long does it take to get an order when I place it for this product? Is it a 1 week lead time or a 2 week lead time or a month lead time? And then you decide, how often do I want to order? Do I want my guys ordering every week? Do I want them ordering every 2 weeks? Do I want them ordering monthly? You balance your order cycle, how often you place an order, with how long it takes to get and how many you use during that period. So if it takes a month to get an order in, right, you place an order on January 1st, the order shows up February 1st. This is just an example. Lead times don't really work like this unless it's something real special, but just bear with me. Place an order January 1st, order delivered February 1st. You need to make sure that there's enough product on the shelf to get you from January 1st to February 1st every single time you order. So you need a 30-day supply on ground based off of your averages and the time of year. Your mix will change. Stuff that you replace changes seasonally. Shocking, I know, but it does. And some of the stuff is not what you would expect. And a lot of stuff does not get super granular, so you have to have somebody or have a system established that tracks it. You want to make sure that whatever you're putting on your shelves isn't so much that it lasts you for multiple years, but isn't so little that you run out and have to send somebody to the store or make a special order to pay extra to get the product there. So if you want a 30-day supply, you order a 30-day supply and you do the math to fill that back up based off of your order cadence. So if you've got 32 of widget A and you use a widget a day, right? On January 1st, when you place the order, to get to February 1st, you need 31 widgets. So you have 32, so you have a little bit of a cushion. So how many widgets do you want to keep on there if you're ordering once a month to carry you through a month? You know you're going to use one a day. You're going to get right down to 0 by the time the next order arrives. That's the perfect world. That's what you want. What you don't want is running out or having so many that they collect dust. And you don't want the wrong product there. You don't want to have to deal with product that collects dust and just ties up capital that could be used for other things, right? People laugh and it's like, well, it's already paid for. It's out of the budget. Yeah, but what if your budget was lower? What if you had that extra money? Well, if we don't use the budget, we lose it. Okay. Get out of the stupid budgeting BS from corporate America's multifamily operations. I got news for you. The bigger the organization gets, the less optimized and the more money they light on fire. Huge property management companies, some of which were my clients and have been my customers. It's not hard to find savings when there's bucketfuls of money being piled in a corner and burned. Okay? Sometimes the truth hurts. But anyway, standards, order cycles, systems, right? How are you tracking the inventory? Is it on a spreadsheet? Is it handwritten? Are you just eyeballing it? Is there a sticker on the shelf that tells you what the item is, who it's from, how many should be on the shelf at all times, right? Minimum and maximum, what the order quantity is? Buy it in full cases so it costs less, right? These are little things that get ignored. Do you buy 2 wall plates for $1.69 each or 10 wall plates for $7? It's not that hard to figure out. Your order minimums and maximums need to be figured out to cycle through that, to maximize. If you're going to place 1 order a month, you want that order to be as big as possible without breaking any of the other rules so you can get the most savings. If you've negotiated a procurement contract or a pricing deal or whatever with your suppliers to allow you to take advantage of that. Some people just use the online marketplaces. There's so much money that gets burned, but it's a whole nother topic for a whole nother show. People just think things sound easy and then it costs them more money than they can count because they can't see it. They don't know it's there. Most of what I do is stuff that people don't realize is a real problem. So anyway, with that being said, look at your shop, organize it, group things together so the stuff isn't lost, throw away everything with dust on it that's no longer being used. Streamline and standardize to current standards, whether it's current market standards, future. If you haven't done a capex rehab, but you're going to, still build the standards list. Put the stuff in the shop. You get a call for a leaky flapper in an occupied unit. Don't wait for that unit to become vacant. Change the toilet. You get a call that a light fixture has died because you're using integrated LEDs. Don't wait for the complex rehab. Don't wait for the tenant to move out. If you have to fix it anyway, fix it right the first time. It'll speed up your turns. The ideal goal, and one we used to hit all the time, but now it seems to be a lost art: demo, rehab, punch list, move in. 30 days, less than 30 days, 28 days, 29 days on a leap year. Used to be able to do that all the time. Still attainable. People seem to have lost the ability to plan ahead. It's very doable. Very, very doable. You just have to have the systems and processes in place. And all that falls apart if you don't have the right people. So hire A players. B players and C players never become A players. Just remember that. Oh, but your A players will leave if their manager is a B or C player. Don't forget that either. Anyway, my rant is done. We're at time. Thank you so much for listening. Check out the newsletter, please. TCOmethod.substack.com. Make sure you like, subscribe, leave a comment. Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Check out the YouTube channel at TCO Method. YouTube made it super easy. They added that handle thing. Just go youtube.com/@TCO Method. All the episodes will be there. 2 new newsletters coming out. One this week, probably another one with the case study on the weekend. Give it a listen. Appreciate you. Have a great day. Go do real estate. And don't listen to stupid people. The more stupid you absorb, the dumber you become. Don't forget it.